Got to give the people, get the people what they want. And today, people just want a little bit of extra practice. They just want to not have a whole bunch of new stuff. So that's what we're going to do. Try to make your lives a little bit easier. So let's just talk a little bit about some completing the square rationale tips, and then we'll throw a little practice in here. Ooh, I don't have a calculator with me. Hopefully I can do this math. All right, here we go. So first off, we gotta keep the big picture in order, which is why do you complete the square in the first place? That's what I want to know. Well, while you do it, you're going to use completing the square to find the x-intercepts slash the roots of a quadratic equation. Remember, when you complete the square, it takes you directly to the roots of that equation. Why would you choose to do this? So I would choose to do completing the square if I can't factor the quadratic equation on my own. So if I can't factor it to find the roots, then I'm going to go to completing the square to find the roots, right? Because once I do that, then I figure out my root is 2 and 3, and I know where my x-intercepts are, and then I can go ahead and figure out where my vertex is, and so on and so forth, okay? So just remember, that's why we're even doing this. Second, and I saw this mistake a number of different times in homework with a number of different people. Please don't forget, when you take the square root of a number, it always has two answers. And this is especially important for those of you who are trying to give like decimal type answers. Because remember, so off to the side, I'm going to say, right, if I take the square root of 16, what's 4? Because 4 times 4 equals 16. So square root of 16 equals 4, but the square root of 16 is also negative 4, because negative 4 times negative 4 equals 16. So remember, the square root of 16 is actually plus or minus positive or negative 4. And every single square root has two answers. So we need to remember that when we're doing these problems. So we get to something like this, where we have n squared minus 16n minus 37 is equal to 0. And I'm going to solve how some of you all were doing this without actually using the square roots. So let me go ahead and hit that right now. I got my calculator too. Sweet. Right? So if I was going to complete the square, I'm going to plus 37. This side, n squared minus 16n plus blank equals 37. I need to take 16 and cut it in half. Excuse me. Negative 16 cut in half gives me negative 8. Negative 8 squared is 64. So I end up with a 64 here. I have to do 64 on both sides. So I know now this is a perfect square that factors to n minus 8 squared equals whatever 37 plus 64 is, and that is 101. This one should look familiar because it's straight from your homework. Now, if I was doing this, I'd be taking square root n minus 8 equals plus or minus the square root of 101, which means that n minus 8 has to equal the square root of 101, and n minus 8 has to equal the negative square root of 101. Those are your two answers. Plus 8, right, n equals square root of 101 plus 8. And on this side, plus 8, n equals the negative square root of 101 plus 8. Two answers. But there was a subset of you who did this a little bit differently. You did it like this, n squared minus 16, n. Oh, let me not skip to there. Or let me skip past there. When you got to here, n minus 8 squared equals n minus 8 squared equals 101. You took these square roots. You said this was n minus 8, and you did the square root of 101. So if I do 101, and I actually figure out what is the square root of 101, it's 10.04. 10.04, right? But you forgot that this is the positive 10.04 and negative 10.04. So I still have to do two answers. N minus 8 equals 10.04. Actually, it's really 10.05, 0.9. And I'd have n minus 8 equals negative 10.049. And then I could solve from there. N equals 18.049 plus 8. N equals, what is that? Minus 8, negative 2.049. So I should have gotten both of those answers if I turned that square root into a decimal. So that's just another part to think about. Couple of things that I noticed from the homework and making sure that you remember why you're doing this. All right, just 2 problems for practice. Why don't you guys hit it right now? Do number 1 before I do it. Pause. Pause. That's how Jay-Z say. All right. Boom. Let's go. So how we solve this? This is not factorable, so I'm going to do a plus 6 plus 6. X squared minus 8x plus blank equals 6. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. I'm going to put a 16 here, 16 here. It's going to be x minus 4 squared equals 16 plus 6. What's that? 22. Square root, x minus 4 equals plus or minus square root of 22. Means I have 2 answers. X minus 4 equals square root of 22, and x minus 4 equals the negative square root of 22. 4 plus 4, x equals root 22 plus 4 on this side, plus 4 plus 4, x equals negative root 22 plus 4 on this side. These are my 2 x-intercepts, my 2 roots. Hopefully that's what you just did. All right, last one for number 2. I wanted to flip it on you a little bit. Notice it's not set equal to 0. Guess what? It doesn't matter, because I could have made it set equal to 0. If I just said plus 10 and plus 10, what would have happened? This would have become what? Negative 2 over here, and this would have been set equal to 0. But really, that doesn't matter, because ultimately, I just need to move this over. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take all that back. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to solve this. Plus 12 plus, that's not 12, plus 12. X squared plus 16x plus blank equals, that's negative 2. All right, that's good. 16 cut in half is 8. 8 squared is 64. So this becomes plus 64 plus 64 on both sides. This is a perfect square that we just created. X minus 8. Just kidding. X plus 8 squared equals 62. And I'm back in the mix. Square root, x plus 8 equals plus or minus the square root of 62. Now I need my 2 answers. X plus 8 equals root 62, and x plus 8 equals negative root 62. Minus 8, x equals root 62 minus 8. Minus 8, x equals negative root 62 minus 8. There are my 2 answers. Those are my 2 roots. All right, this is just more practice, a little more review. I got like 4 to 6 problems for you to do. I haven't decided yet. Keeping it smooth and easy. Have a good one.